Okay, so this mini lecture is going to be on social referencing, and you'll get to hear and see some examples of what that looks like in infancy. Social referencing is when you rely on another person's emotional reaction to help you figure out how you should evaluate a situation that seems uncertain to you. And we all do this, right? So if something unusual is happening, we tend to look around to others to figure out how we should react emotionally. You've talked about research like this in your introductory psychology class, right? Where there's that tendency, if you're in a group, to define a situation that should be defined as an emergency, you define it as a non-emergency, right? So there's the experiment where you have people sitting in a waiting room, and all of a sudden smoke starts to filter through the vent in the room, and everyone kind of looks to everyone else, and nobody is sure how to react, so nobody reacts. And even though somebody should get up and ask for help, nobody does, because no one's reacting in an emotional way, and so they kind of, as a group, collectively define that as a non-emergency. Now, if you're on your own, and you're not in a group, and smoke starts coming through the vent, you immediately tend to get up and ask for help. And so we kind of do this all the time. We rely on others, and this is especially important for young infants because they don't have a lot of experience, and so many situations are going to be uncertain to them. And it's adaptive to rely on your caregiver to figure out how you should react to these new situations. Okay. So we see this by the end of the first year, and it's an extremely important opportunity for caregivers to teach children how to react to different situations. So the next slide, what I want you to do is pause the presentation, and then there's a video on social referencing. And just to give you some background, in the typical social referencing research, what you do is you have mothers and children, or parents and children, in a lab, and then some kind of novel toy is introduced into the room, and it's usually something that the child wouldn't have seen before. It's something that moves on its own, makes a lot of noise, and the parent is instructed to react in these different ways emotionally. So they're instructed to react with interest and positive emotion in one trial. In another trial, they're told to respond with fear and wariness. And then maybe in other trials, they're told to respond with nothing, right, with a neutral affect. And what you want to do is look for what the child does in response to that parental response to the novel toy. Okay, so go ahead and watch this YouTube clip on social referencing. Pause the presentation and then come back. Okay, so you saw that when the mother responds positively to the new toy, the child approaches, and when the child responds with fear or wariness, the child kind of stands in place and keeps looking to mother and doesn't approach the toy. And so this is very important for learning about how to deal with situations, and also learning about how to express certain emotion in different situations. What's really interesting is in those trials when the mother is told just to remain neutral and not to react, children get very upset at mother when she doesn't show a specific emotional reaction. And if there's somebody else in the room, like an experimenter, they'll stop looking at mom and look to the other person in the room, as if to say, okay, you're not giving me the information that I need, so I'm going to look for it somewhere else.